Grug has one mammoth tooth. One tooth buys one fish. Simple, clean. Grug happy. Next day, Grug goes back to market. Same tooth, same fish seller. But fish seller shakes head. Holds up two fingers. Two teeth for one fish. Grug confused. Fish same size. Tooth same tooth. Nothing changed. So why does fish cost more? This, my friend, is inflation. And it is the silent thief that has been robbing every human since the first cave economy. Today, Grug explains what inflation is, why it happens, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Because if you don't understand inflation, inflation will quietly destroy everything you worked for. Not dramatically, not all at once. Just slowly. Every single year, forever. Let's start from the beginning. Inflation is when prices go up across the entire economy, not just fish. Not just cave rent, everything. Food, fuel, clothes, healthcare, education. When you need more money to buy the same things you bought last year, that is inflation. But here is what most people get wrong. They think inflation is about things getting more expensive. It's not. Inflation is about your money getting weaker. The fish didn't change. Your tooth got weaker. There is a big difference. And understanding that difference is the first step to protecting yourself. So why does money get weaker? Two reasons. Grug explained both. Reason 1. Too many teeth in the system. Imagine the entire cave economy has exactly 1,000 mammoth teeth in circulation. And there are exactly 1,000 fish available. One tooth per fish. Perfect balance. Now Big Chief decides to carve 1,000 more teeth and hand them out to everyone. Suddenly there are 2,000 teeth in the economy, but still only 1,000 fish. What happens? Fish sellers see that everyone has more teeth. They raise the price. Now it costs 2 teeth to buy one fish. The fish didn't change. The number of fish didn't change. Only the number of teeth changed. And that destroyed the value of every tooth that already existed. This is exactly what happens when governments print too much money. More money chasing the same amount of goods. Prices go up. Your savings buy less. Grug calls this very frustrating. Reason 2. Less fish, same teeth. Sometimes inflation has nothing to do with money printing. Sometimes the supply of goods just drops. Bad harvest. Supply chain disaster. War cutting off trade routes. Suddenly there are only 500 fish but still 1,000 teeth. Same amount of money. Half the goods. Prices double. This is called a supply shock. And it is much harder to control because no government policy can instantly create more fish. You just have to wait for supply to recover. Meanwhile, everyone pays more. Now here is the part that most people completely miss. And this is the most important thing Grug will say today. Inflation doesn't just make your groceries expensive. Inflation steals your savings, silently, without asking permission. Every single year, let Grug show you with numbers. Grug has 10,000 teeth saved under his rock. Took years to collect. Grug very proud. Grug does nothing with them, just saves. Inflation this year is 8%. Grug still has 10,000 teeth at the end of the year. Counts them every night, all still there. But here is the brutal truth. Those 10,000 teeth can now only buy what 9,200 teeth could buy last year. Grug lost 800 teeth of purchasing power, without anyone touching his pile, without any theft, without any loss. Just inflation. And the year after that, another 8% gone. And the year after that, and the year after that. This is called the erosion of purchasing power. And it is one of the most destructive financial forces in existence, not because it is dramatic, but because it is invisible. Most people never even notice it happening until it is too late. Let Grug show you real historical numbers so this stops feeling abstract. In 1970, $1 could buy a loaf of bread. Today, that same dollar buys almost nothing. You need close to $5 for that bread. That is 50 years of inflation averaging around 3 to 4% per year. Sounds small, right? 3%. Almost nothing. Wrong. At 3% inflation, prices double every 24 years. At 5%, prices double every 14 years. At 7%, prices double every 10 years. Money you put away today at 3% inflation will have half its purchasing power in 24 years. Half. Gone. Without a single tooth leaving the pile. Grug's grandfather paid 20 mammoth teeth for his cave. Grug pays 200 mammoth teeth for the same cave. Same location. Same rocks. Same drafty entrance. Now you understand why your parents could afford a house on one salary, and why you cannot. Inflation has been running for decades, so who is supposed to control this thing? In the modern world, the central bank. In Grug's world, that is the Tooth Council. Their primary weapon against inflation is interest rates. When inflation gets too high, Tooth Council raises interest rates. Higher interest rates make borrowing expensive. People borrow less, they spend less, and demand for goods drops. If demand drops, prices stop rising. Simple chain reaction. Grug follow. But here is where it gets complicated. If Tooth Council raises rates too high or too fast, something else happens. Borrowing becomes so expensive that businesses can't afford loans to grow. People can't afford mortgages. Consumer spending collapses. Companies start laying off workers. Unemployment rises. Economy shrinks. This is called a recession. So the Tooth Council is always walking a very thin line. Move too slow on inflation and prices burn out of control. Move too fast and you tip the economy into recession. It is, as Grug says, an extremely annoying balancing act. And history shows they get it wrong almost as often as they get it right. So what does this mean for you? You cannot fully control inflation. You cannot make the Tooth Council do the right thing. But you can control how inflation affects your own financial life. Here is what Grug recommends. First, stop leaving money sitting idle in accounts earning nothing. If your savings account pays 1% and inflation is 4%, you are losing 3% per year in real terms. That is not saving. That is slow loss. Second, put your money to work in assets that historically beat inflation. Stocks have returned an average of 7 to 10% per year after inflation over the long term. Real estate tends to rise with inflation since property values and rents increase as prices rise. Commodities like gold and energy have historically held value during high inflation periods. The math is not complicated. If inflation is 4% and your investments return 8%, you are growing your real wealth. Every year, compounding. Grug calls this winning. And it is available to anyone who understands what inflation actually is and decides to act. Here is the summary. Inflation is the weakening of money over time. It happens when too much money chases too few goods. It silently destroys savings that sit still. Governments try to control it with interest rates with mixed results. The only real protection is putting money into assets that grow faster than inflation erodes them. Money sitting still goes backwards. Money put to work goes forwards. Grug choose forwards. Next video. Grug discovers compound interest. Tribe thinks he found ancient magic. He kind of did. Don't miss it.